For optics, Nora, you should skip the front row. Vanessa delivered it at my own kitchen table, as if she had brought sugar. I stood there with my hands on the back of the porch chair. I have moved from house to house for 30 years. My daughter's wedding was in 3 days. I had planned to tie a ribbon to the chair when I returned after the ceremony. Sentimental, but not expensive. Optics, I said. She folded her tan hands and looked past me toward the fridge where a casserole label read, "Spinach lasagna, Friday lunch." I had written it in thick black marker. "You want what is best for Claire," she said. "So do I." "I see." I set the chair down. "What does the front row do to your optics, Vanessa?" "It complicates the visual. There is a new family now. We should be practical." Before we continue, please subscribe and tell us where you're listening. When I tell this next part, you will see why calm is a tool. My name is Nora Fielding, and I was 68 that spring. I keep a gardener's ledger the way some people keep a diary. Plant dates, rainfall, which neighbor likes coriander. I once did school grounds for pay, now I tend the beds at our little church, and the council verge outside my unit. I am not fancy, I am precise. Peter, my ex-husband, left 8 years ago. When people ask, I say we outgrew each other so cleanly, we should have gotten a tax credit. The truth runs less smooth. He met Vanessa at a professional conference, kept the conversation going, then came home and said we had become polite. Polite is not a reason to leave, I told him. It was a reason for therapy. He wanted romance again. I wanted quiet again. We signed papers. I kept the unit and the porch chair. He kept his golf clubs and a timeshare he never used. Our daughter Claire found her person, a graphic designer named Arlo with a laugh that comes from his chest first. They planned a small ceremony in our quiet suburb, a short aisle through the gum trees behind Street Matthews Hall, then a reception at the community center. Not a hotel ballroom, not a helicopter exit. The hall committee had baked for every scout troop since the 80s. I liked that. From the first brunch where we met, Vanessa had a way of lowering her voice when she meant to be firm. "Let's be adults," she would say, to anyone from a caterer to a cousin. She made a spreadsheet for the guest list that turned into a spreadsheet for the seating chart that turned into a spreadsheet for who would bring umbrellas in case of rain. I do not mind a spreadsheet. I mind the tone that says a spreadsheet trumps a person. I had been giving small things. Nothing dramatic. I paid for the bulk herbs the florist used to build the table runners. My grocery receipts were clipped together with a paper clip, totals circled. I bought 24 jars for lemon possets at the op shop and scrubbed the labels. I filled 3 casseroles for the wedding week fridge so the kids would not live on takeaway. Each was tagged with a casserole label, date and heating instruction. Spinach lasagna, Friday lunch. Chicken and leek, Saturday eve. Pumpkin and sage, Sunday recovery. "Nothing with peanuts," Claire had said when she asked. "Arlo's nephew is allergic." "I am not trying to poison the guests," I said, which made her snort. We have the same snort. We had our little textures. The bake sale flyer on the church bulletin board had a picture of a lemon slice like a crown. I circled the date and told Claire I would bring 3 dozen. The grocery receipts lived in my garden ledger, so I would not lose them. In the ledger's pocket, I kept a photo of Claire at 6, dirt on her face, holding a seed packet like treasure. We are not a dramatic family. The rehearsal was set for Friday afternoon with a simple supper after. I had laid my outfit across the bed, a blue dress with sleeves. I do not do sleeveless anymore. I planned to arrive early with a box of rosemary sprigs from my yard. The florist said she could tuck them into Claire's bouquet. Scent anchors the day, she told me on the phone. I liked her for that. Vanessa phoned Thursday morning and said she was stopping by. She arrived with a tote that said bride support and the smell of expensive citrus. She sat at my table and laid out lists with neat headings. She showed me the seating chart as if presenting a case study. We have been sensitive to dynamics, she said. Peter and I in the front, you directly behind. Behind. This reduces confusion for the officiant, she said. And for the photos. For the photos, I repeated. My porch chair creaked when I leaned back. Outside, a magpie sang like it was tuning an instrument. Claire knows about this, I said. It is not her burden to mediate adult egos, Vanessa said. She smiled softly. Let's be adults. Let's, I said. I called Claire after Vanessa left. Tell me you want me in the front row, I said. I wanted to hear it in her own voice. Silence. Then, Mom, it is complicated. Arlo's family is big. The aisle is narrow. Are there 2 front rows? Yes. You and Arlo sit later, but the front is for the parents. I would like to be a parent. I know, she said. I feel pulled every which way. Vanessa thinks this will help. She thinks many things, I said. My voice came out even, which surprised both of us. I will not make a scene. I know you would never, Mom. Then tell her I will be where parents sit. The porch chair felt like it was listening with me. Tell her the optics will survive. What I did not say was what the word optics does to me. It turns people into props. It suggests a picture matters more than a person. I am not a prop. I am the person who taught Claire to water early, not late, because the leaves burn under noon. Sunday, I checked my garden ledger and tucked the latest grocery receipt inside. The total was small. Still, I circled it. Precision is not aggression. It is a way to remember who gave what and when, for the day when giving is called into question. I did not know yet that the day would arrive sooner than I thought. The florist called just after lunch. Small question, she said. Do you still want the mother of the bride corsage, or was that canceled? I did not cancel, I said. Someone named Vanessa emailed this morning and said the corsage was unnecessary. Optics, she wrote, which is unusual florist jargon. The florist chuckled. I just thought I should check with you. I ordered a corsage because I am the mother of the bride. Then we will make the corsage. I thanked her and wrote, corsage confirmed in my ledger like a farmer noting rain. I put the phone down and stared at the casserole labels arranged in a neat row on the counter. Friday lunch, Saturday eve, Sunday recovery. Vanessa's tote bag had knocked one slightly askew. I straightened it, and then I did something I do when I need to stop the whirring in my head. I put on my hat and cut rosemary. By late afternoon, I had 3 rubber-banded bundles. I slid them into a brown paper bag beside the porch chair. The plan was to drop them with the florist on my way to church Friday. I texted Claire a photo. These will tuck into your bouquet, I wrote. Scent anchors the day. She sent a heart, then another. Thanks, Mom. I was in the kitchen when the second email came. It was a group message titled, Final Seating for Ceremony. Vanessa had used a voice I recognized from her corporate life. Confident, lean. The chart was attached as a PDF. For clarity, she wrote, Peter and I will occupy the first row parent seats. Nora will be seated aisle 4 nearest the exit for convenience. For convenience. My breath went thin. I called Peter. Did you approve this? Vanessa thinks. I asked you, not Vanessa. You know she is trying to smooth things, he said. We have to be practical, Nora. Practical, I said. He took a breath, the kind that says a man has rehearsed a line. Let's be adults. Tell Vanessa that line only works when everyone at the table is being won. Nora. Do not worry, I said. I will not ruin your optics. I put the phone down with care. A long time ago, anger came out of me as jokes that made people laugh because they were true. At 50, I learned to let it come out as decisions. I looked at the bake sale flyer on the fridge. The lemon slice looked steady, like a coach before a game. I pulled a clip from the ledger pocket and attached the florist's estimate to the grocery receipts. Then I wrote on a new page, seating change proposed by Vanessa. Thursday, no consultation. It looked official in my own handwriting. At 5, Claire arrived with her cheeks flushed and her hair up in a messy knot. Mom, I love you, she said before she said hello. I am sorry about the email. I did not know she would send that. Then you are not the one I am cross with. She says the photographer will get confused about who is who. Does the photographer know who I am? Yes. Then the photographer will not get confused. Claire sat at the table and traced the rim of the casserole label with her finger. I felt small reading it, she said, like my wedding was a campaign and I am the sign on the lawn. You feel small because someone is using big words to make you smaller, I said. It is a trick. It will not work if you remember rather than react. She smiled, tired and young. You should have been the one to marry us, she said. You have a sermon for everything. I have a garden for everything, I said. You plant what you want to see grow. She opened her mouth to say more, then shut it when her phone lit up. Vanessa is asking if I have convinced you. Tell her adults do not need convincing. They need respect. Claire wrote something I could not see. Then she stood and hugged me hard. Please do not fight at the rehearsal, she said. I want the night to be gentle. The night will be gentle, I said. I can be gentle and still be in the front row. The inciting thing was not the email. It was the look Claire gave me when she said gentle. That look activated something in me older than marriage and newer than dignity. I decided then that I would stay in the pull of my daughter's laugh and my own ribs. No pushing, no bluffing. I would bring rosemary, and I would bring something else I have always brought when people try to make me smaller. I would bring the paper. I woke to a Friday that smelled like wet soil. The sky over our quiet suburb was striped, light slipping behind thin cloud. I made tea and listened to the kettle finish like a sigh. Before 9, I tucked the rosemary into my bag and clipped the receipts together so they looked like a tidy family. On my way out, I passed the porch chair and rested my hand on its back. The wood was warm. I left the door unlocked because Claire was stopping by later with a box of placeholders she wanted me to proofread. I proofread like I prune, kindly, but with purpose. At the florist, the shop bell gave one soft ring. Nora, she said, your corsage is safe. I knew you would not let optics win, I said. She grinned and held up a small box. Ivory ribbon, rosemary tucked under the rose. It smells like a walk after rain. I paid and pocketed the receipt without ceremony. She added a sprig to Claire's bouquet and her own hands took on the scent. Also, she said, dropping her voice, I got copied on another email thread by accident. Tell me. Vanessa asked the caterer whether they could label the buffet with parent of the brides under Peter's plate and special guest under yours. The caterer wrote back a question mark. I closed my eyes and found the kitchen table in my mind. The casserole labels were straight now. Thank you, I said. Do not worry, I do not plan to debate the buffet. Bless you, she said, and meant it. Outside, I took a photo of the corsage box on my palm. I sent it to Claire with a quick message. No one cancels love. See you at rehearsal. A heart came back. Arlo added a thumbs up. On my way home, I ran into my neighbor Dennis in his faded hawk's cap. He was stapling a fresh bake sale flyer on the church board. The lemon slice still looked noble. "Big day, Nora," he said. "You ready to cry?" "I am ready to sit where I belong," I said. "That too." He lifted his staple gun. "Some folks get ideas when a new person moves the chairs," he said. "But the chairs remember who warmed them." "I will carry that image with me," I said, smiling. "Carry this too." He handed me a spare flyer. "So you remember Saturday morning when you were tired. We need those slices." "You will have them," I said. I slid the flyer into my ledger the way a soldier tucks a letter. Street Matthews Hall has a low ceiling and a smell of lemon oil, the kind of smell that carries childhood. The aisle under the gum trees is a path pressed by many small feet. When I arrived, Vanessa was already in motion, pointing at chairs with a pen like a conductor. Peter stood beside her, nodding in the rhythm of a man who had decided to nod rather than think. "Mother of the bride," the planner said, stepping toward me with a genuine smile. "Corsage looks beautiful." "Thank you," I said. I touched the ribbon and felt steadier. Vanessa glided over. "Nora," she said, air kissing the air near my cheek. "We will run through the seating in a moment. For clarity, you are on the aisle here." She pointed to the fourth row like she was pointing out a dangerous plant. "For clarity," I said, "I am in the front as Claire's mother." "Let's be adults," she said softly. "This is not about you." "It is about Claire," I said. "Which is why I am where her mother sits." Her smile did not move. "You will have a wonderful view from row 4, she said, "and an easy exit." "Am I expected to leave early?" I asked. "Is there a fire alarm I should know about?" Peter stepped in. "Nora, please." The planner cleared her throat. "Perhaps Claire should weigh in," she said, which made me like her even more. Claire arrived then, hair up, eyes bright. She took in the arc at a glance. "Mum sits front row," she said before anyone asked. "Peter, you and Vanessa sit on the other side. The front row has 2 sides." "Sweetheart," Vanessa said, "for the photos." "For the day," Claire said. She did not raise her voice. She did not have to. "The day matters more than the photos." Vanessa's face stayed smooth, but her hand gripped her pen until the plastic clicked. "Mask, meet slip. We have to consider optics," she said. "Optics keep marching in here as if they bought a ticket," I said, and Arlo snorted, which he tried to cover with a cough. The planner, who had seen storms before, clapped. "Places, please," she said. "Front row is done. We are adults." Good. We ran through the walk. The gum leaves made their small sound above us. The light filtered green. When the rehearsal ended, Claire hugged me and then hugged Vanessa and Peter. She was trying to knit all of us into one day. I wanted to help her knit, not pull yarn. In the hall, I helped the committee lay out a simple supper. A young cousin brought in a tray of lemon slices. My bake sale flyer watched from the bulletin board. People ate and told stories. I kept my voice low and my shoulders loose. Vanessa moved through the room like a diplomat in a small country. She rested a hand on several forearms. She lowered her voice when she wanted things to stick. Near the tea urn, I heard her tell an aunt that I had insisted on bringing my own food because I did not trust the caterer. "It is just Nora's way," she said, tone kind enough to cause damage. "She likes to control what is on the table." I let that one pass. Then I heard her tell a cousin that I had asked to walk Claire down the aisle with Peter. She asked for equal status, she said. It is not appropriate at this stage of life. The cousin nodded, slightly appalled. That is pushy. I set the tongs down and turned around. What I asked for, I said, voice steady, was a seat in the front row. And I have it. I smiled. The rest is story frosting. The cousin flushed. Vanessa smiled without teeth. We all want what is best for Claire, she said. We have to be practical. Here is what is practical, I said. I picked up the casserole label for Saturday Eve and set it in front of her like a card. Chicken and leek, Arlo's nephew, is safe. Adults read labels. That is not the point, she said. It is exactly the point, I said, and then I walked away because walking away is also a point. When I got home, the porch chair waited like a calm friend. The kitchen had that quiet of a house that knows its people will sleep hard. I opened my ledger and tucked the florist receipt behind the others. I wrote a short line, rehearsal done, front row secured. Tone watch, optics, practical, adults. There are times when a gardener must stake a young tree so it grows straight through the wind. The stake is not the tree. It is the guided hand. I felt like a stake. The text arrived from an unknown number at 10:30. Hi, Nora. Claire wants the morning brunch to be family only. Please drop your casserole at the back door by 8 and depart by 8:15 to avoid awkwardness. It ended with a smile emoji that felt like a sticker on a bruise. I replied, Who is this? Wedding coordinator, it said. I called the planner. She picked up on the second ring. No, I did not send Nat, she said. And the morning is for anyone who loves the couple. No one is being asked to depart. Thank you, I said. Please forward that number to Claire. She should know the tone of messages that use the wrong mouth. The planner was quiet for a beat. You are good at this, she said. I am good at plants, I said, but some people act like vines. I took a photo of the text and printed it. I do not do this often. Paper feels serious to me. On the way back from the printer, I passed the fridge and saw that the Friday lunch label had a smear across my name. Likely nothing. Likely Vanessa's tote had dragged a mark. I wiped it clean. Sleep came late. I watched the ceiling and counted rosemary sprigs. In the morning, I would bring muffins to the brunch because muffins travel well and men with nervous hands do fine with muffins. I had not promised muffins. I would bring them anyway. Generosity is not control. It is offer. Street. Matthews Hall smelled like coffee and warm sugar. The hall committee had outdone themselves. Buns, fruit, a tray of scones that made me want to hug someone's grandmother. I set my muffins next to the lemon slices and straightened the bake sale flyer on the corkboard so the corner would not curl. While I set out napkins, I heard Vanessa next to the urn. Just a gentle request, she was saying. Let the bride's new family get the first photos. It is better for optics. I did not step in. I poured coffee. Arlo's nephew, Max, stood in front of the muffins and studied them like a test. Are there peanuts? He asked. No, I said. I read labels like a vocation. He grinned. My mum says that is adulthood. It is also love, I said, and he nodded like a small adult. Peter approached with a careful face. We are all set for the ceremony, he said. Thank you for staying calm. You are welcome, I said. Vanessa joined him, smile symmetrical. I have a small thing, she said to me, voice pitched low. Could you avoid standing near the signing table during the legal documents? It might confuse the officials. Do I look like a legal document? I said. Let's be adults, she murmured. This is not personal. "You're discussing a person," I said. "How could it be anything else?" She breathed in like air had opinions. "You insist on being at the center," she said. "It makes things harder." "I insist on being where I belong," I said. "The center is a wheel that turns. Today, it is Claire." Her smile thinned. "You know, Nora," she said, "your reputation in the church is of someone who needs to be thanked repeatedly to stay engaged." "My reputation will survive your imagination," I said. At that moment, the planner tapped a spoon against a glass and called for a quick family huddle for photo order and transport. Vanessa lifted her chin and moved toward the circle. I set down my coffee and joined. The group formed a tidy ring. The planner held a sheet of times. "We're going to get the family shots done right after the ceremony," she said. "Parents first, then siblings, then grandparents and cousins. We will do them under the gum trees." Vanessa raised a hand. "Just to clarify," she said, "parents are Peter and myself." The ring changed shape like an organism sensing weather. People leaned back without meaning to. The planner glanced at Claire. Claire looked at me. I did not move. "No," Claire said. "Parents are my mom and Peter. Vanessa, you are important." "You are not my parent." A sound went through the circle, the kind that does not reach the throat. Vanessa's face did not move. Her pen did not click this time. "For the photos." "For the day," Claire said again. Arlo put an arm around Claire's shoulder like he was bracing a sapling. "We will make it through," he said to both of us in his calm way. The huddle broke with chatter and relief. I stepped back and felt the lemon oil in the floor under my feet. I caught Peter's eye. For the first time all week, a flicker of shame crossed his face. He opened his mouth to speak, then closed it like a boy told to wait. That flicker fed me. Not because I wanted him to feel bad, but because recognition is the start of repair. I went home to change. The blue dress lay waiting, calm. I pinned the corsage and took one last look in the hall mirror. The porch chair caught the edge of my eye. I rested my fingers on it. "Front row," I said aloud to myself and the chair. The wood held the words like a friend holds a secret. I had time to pack the envelope. Inside went the florist's original estimate with my name and the note, "Mother of the Bride Corsage." The grocery receipts with circled totals for herbs and jars. A printed copy of the final seating email and the late night depart by 8:15 message. I did not want to use them. I do not enjoy theater, but paper has its own voice. If it needed to speak, I would let it. Before I left, I checked the fridge. The Friday lunch casserole label had been peeled, then stuck back, slightly crooked. I straightened it again. That small act gave me more calm than any speech. On the path to the hall, I passed Dennis with his staple gun. "Big day," he said. "Big enough," I said. He looked at my corsage and nodded with satisfaction. "Chairs, remember," he said again, and I grinned because repetition can be a prayer. Behind the hall, the gum trees threw patterned shade. Guests arrived in weekend best. The air carried a light smell of eucalyptus and dry grass. I found Claire in a small room off the vestry, all lace and nerves. She took my hands and we stood there, two women with the same waterline eyes. "Mom," she said, "thank you for holding the line without swinging it around." "You are not a rope," I said. "You are the reason." She laughed, then swallowed it. "Vanessa is making nice right now," she said. "She said she wants to smooth the scene." "What a phrase," I said. "It takes all the wrinkles off faces that deserve to be read." "I do not want a scene," she said. "I want to marry Arlo and eat lemon slice." "That is a flawless plan," I said. There, in that small room, I made my midpoint choice. I had carried my envelope like a kit. I could blow up the huddle with it. I could corner Vanessa and tell her what I knew about the late-night text and the canceled corsage and the attempt to relabel me as special guest. It would feel good for a minute. It might scorch the day. I chose instead to stay still. I tucked the envelope into my bag and decided on the time and place where paper is not a weapon but a mirror. The family round table tomorrow evening, after the gifts and before the goodbye car honks, would serve. I would ask for 15 minutes. I would ask Peter to listen. I would ask Vanessa to pass the pen to her better self. My justice would be public enough to hold, private enough to heal, low to medium. Not a spectacle, a stake. "Walk me to the door," Claire said. "Then sit in the front row, because that is where mothers sit." We walked to the door. The planner smiled and opened it, and the day shifted into the next gear. I took my seat. Arlo walked in with his proud shoulders. The officiant's voice had a river tone. The gum leaves made that small sound again. I tasted rosemary under the floral. During the vows, Peter wiped his eyes in a way I knew, a thumb pressed too hard. When Claire said, "I do," air left my lungs and returned new. I did not remember what Vanessa did. I did not intend to ask. Photos under the trees went as the planner promised. Parents first, Claire and me. Peter came in for the second frame. Vanessa stood slightly off to the side, a place that is not a punishment when you choose it yourself. For one long moment, I saw us from above, a small ring of people who would be handed back their better selves if they were willing to take them. "Congratulations," Vanessa said to me when the photos ended. Her voice was even. "It turned out fine." "It did," I said. "I do not want to fight," she said. "Nor do I," I said. "I do not want to be managed either." She looked at me as if she could see my entire garden ledger. "You are very sure of yourself," she said. "I am sure of my role," I said. "There is a difference." She raised her chin. "Let us move on then," she said. "We have the reception to enjoy." "We do." I took a quiet breath. "Tomorrow evening, before you two leave for your little beach week, we will meet as a family," I said. 15 minutes. I would like to look people in the eye and close the gaps. Her gaze flickered. "A debrief," she said. "Adults call it a conversation," I said. "In the hall, at a round table. After cake." She nodded as if it had been her idea all along. "Of course. The midpoint is a hinge on which the door of a day swings. When it swings well, you do not hear the creak. I did not hear it then. I only felt the breeze of a choice that made morning after possible. The reception began with a clink and a toast. The community hall shone in its simple way. Banners made by church ladies hung straight. The caterer, a woman with arms like good rope, kept platters moving. Music hummed like a happy engine. I sat at the parents' table between Peter and a cousin who smelled faintly of paint thinner. Arlo danced with his nephew to a pop song from a decade ago. The world looked temporarily improved. Halfway through the meal, the planner reached my side with a tight smile. "A small situation," she said in a low voice. "The place card at your seat has been swapped for one that reads, 'Special Guest.' I think it was done during the first dance." I looked down at the card that had sat in front of me all evening like a tame thing. "Special Guest." It was printed in a font Vanessa favored, the kind that looks like a sign in a boutique. A little flourish under the G. The room did not stop. No trumpets announced this insult. This is how the quiet cuts arrive. On paper, in decent fonts, under low light. Peter saw it when I lifted the card. His face paled, the way a man looks when the golf ball he slices sails toward a window. "Nora," I did not. I know whose hand holds this pen, I said. Vanessa arrived with a composed face. Oh dear, she said. That should not be there. Someone printed it. Someone placed it. Someone hoped I would not notice until the night was gone, I said. My voice did not rise because rage turns to ice when you have prepared for it. Which part should not be there, Vanessa? The card or the idea? Let's not do this, she said quietly. For optics. Arlo appeared at my shoulder. Claire came fast after, her lace brushing my sleeve like a wing. She saw the card and her face changed in a way I had only seen twice before. At 12, when a teacher mocked her drawing. At 19, when a boy she trusted showed her messages to a friend. Did you do this? She asked Vanessa. No lace in her voice now, just the clean sound of a person asking for the truth. It was a formatting error, Vanessa said. The font file swapped. You know how computers can be. Computers do not take cards from pockets and place them under forks, I said. The music slowed behind us. The cousin with paint thinner leaned back to watch, not unkindly. The hall committee ladies looked over with concern, like cooks tasting soup for salt. I had chosen not to blow my envelope at the huddle. I had chosen not to corner Vanessa under the gum trees. But the dark turn does not wait for your calendar. It takes the shape of what someone else cannot help but do. I stood with the card in my hand. I felt the corsage at my collar and the steady weight of the porch chair in my chest. For the record, I said, keeping my voice low, I am not a guest at my daughter's life. Vanessa tilted her head. You are making a scene. No, I said, you made the scene. I am narrating it. The planner stepped in, hands kind but firm. We will correct the place card, she said. Now. That is not the point, Claire said. She spoke to Vanessa without flinching. The point is that you have tried to recast my mother as optional in my own story. Vanessa's cheeks held color now. I have tried to keep things smooth. You have tried to be central, Claire said. There is a difference. The room stayed polite because we are a polite town, but attention is a tide you feel even if you pretend not to. It leaned toward us. Enough, Peter said. He stood. His voice shook exactly once. Vanessa, this is wrong. He took the card from my hand and ripped it into 4 careful pieces. He placed the pieces under his own glass. The action made a small sound, a plastic pop. Nora sits here. She is the mother. You knew that when you met me. Vanessa's mouth pressed into a line. I will not be humiliated, she said. No one wants that, I said. Everyone wants respect. She stared at me, and I saw the mask slide, then steady. You always need a note, Nora, she said. You need a label. You need to be thanked and seated and mentioned. I looked at the table. At the lemon slices, the jars I had scrubbed, the herbs from my yard. I looked at Claire and Arlo and the planner and Peter, whose shoulders were straighter than they had been for months. When I looked back at Vanessa, my voice did not carry heat. It carried paper. I keep notes, I said, so I do not have to raise my voice. I tapped my bag. I will ask for 15 minutes tomorrow at a round table where people can decide if they want to be better. Her eyes flickered over the bag like a cat tracking a bird. Threats, she said. Mirrors, I said. The band picked up a song that asked no one to be brave. People went back to their plates because dinners do not pause when a quiet cut bleeds. The planner replaced the card with one that said, Mother of the Bride, in a hand-drawn script that made the words warmer. The cousin with paint thinner lifted his glass to me without irony. Vanessa walked away. Peter exhaled like he had been released from a shirt that was too tight. Claire gripped my hand under the table, and her thumb made a small circle on my palm, a gesture she has done since she was 4 when she wanted me to know she was here. The dark turn was not the card. The dark turn was the message Vanessa sent to herself in that moment and decided not to share. That I would not move. That I would not be shifted off the map. That tomorrow's round table was no longer a debrief. It would be a reckoning with a ledger. Sunday evening, the light fell soft over the community hall. The banner from last night still hung straight. Chairs were stacked along one wall, but the round table in the middle waited with a jug of water and 6 glasses. Claire and Arlo sat together, hands laced. Peter took a seat with the posture of someone who had rehearsed sorry. Vanessa arrived in a dress the color of new cement and set her tote down like a claim. The planner, invited because she had watched the week like a lighthouse, sat beside Dennis from the church committee. They were witnesses without robes. Out near the corkboard, the bake sale flyer kept its lemon crown. I felt steady just seeing it. I placed my envelope in the center of the table. Paper is not a sword. It is a mirror. 15 minutes, I said. Then cake. Let's be adults, Vanessa murmured, already preparing a defense that sounded like policy. Adults look each other in the eye, I said. We do not hide actions under words like optics. Claire nodded to me. Mum, go ahead. I slid the first sheet out. The florist's estimate with Mother of the Bride corsage in my name. The planner leaned in and smiled at the scent of rosemary that still clung to the ribbon. This matched what I received, she said. 1 hour later, I said, placing the printed email, a cancellation request arrived from Vanessa's account to the florist. The florist called me to confirm. I said no. Vanessa's face held still. Budget consciousness should not be punished, she said, voice even. It was redundant. A bouquet is enough. It is practical. Arlo frowned. A corsage is not a yacht, he said. I slid out the second sheet. The PDF of the final seating for ceremony. Vanessa's wording sat on the page in its confident tone. Peter and I will occupy the first row parent seats. Nora will be seated aisle 4 nearest the exit for convenience. I touched the word convenience with one finger. The exit was for me, I said, not for fire. Peter put a hand to his mouth. I read it and I did not stop it, he said. That is on me. Thank you, I said. Adults own their part. Dennis cleared his throat gently. Hall policy says the couple decides family placement, he said, not the couple's optics manager. He said it without bite, which made it land. Vanessa lifted her chin. It was a draft, she said, a proposal. It is standard to float options. It is not standard to pretend I asked to leave by 8:15, I said. I placed the printed text with the smile emoji. The planner shifted, eyes sharpening. That number, the planner said, pointing, is the same number Vanessa used when she texted me to ask the caterer to label the buffet with parent of the bride under Peter and special guest under Nora. It came through my system, she added for clarity. I saw it. A small sound made itself known at the table. Not gasp, breath settling. It was a gentle ask, Vanessa said, to avoid confusing the guests. Guests can read, I said. They read casserole labels. They read the words mother and father. They do not need you to recast the story like a brand deck. Claire's voice stayed even. Vanessa, did you print the special guest place card? She asked. Just yes or no. Vanessa's hand went to her tote, then withdrew. Yes, she said. It kept the table balanced. The table held even when Peter tore it up, I said. Balance is not symmetry. It is weight given where weight is due. Arlo sat forward. This is not about punishing you, he said to Vanessa. It is about telling the truth out loud. Peter looked at me. I am ashamed I let practical cover what was really happening, he said. I have been on autopilot for years. It is not your job, Nora, to be graceful while people move you. Grace without spine is just a curtain, I said. I have a garden stake. I use it. The planner lifted a hand. For the sake of public clarity, she said, slipping into her own authority, I am printing a one-page note that will go in the hall record with the program. Parents of the bride, as designated by the couple, Nora Fielding and Peter Fielding. Any vendor messages must come from Claire or Arlo or me. No third-party directives. It is not a legal document. It is a community policy note. It will live on the corkboard this month. That is a good mirror, Dennis said. People remember what the board says. Vanessa's shoulders tightened, then sagged, a small collapse of a tent whose pole has been removed. I was trying to make things smooth, she said. Families are messy. Photos last. People last, Claire said. And people remember who stood them up from their own seat. I pulled the last item from the envelope, not a document. A photo of 6-year-old Claire with dirt on her face holding a seed packet. I set it gently on the table. This is what I keep in my ledger, I said, not to show, to remember. I am not trying to win. I am trying to avoid losing us. Silence returned with more oxygen in it. Vanessa looked at the photo too long, as if waiting for it to blink. When it didn't, she folded her hands, the way she had at my kitchen table, but without the knife smile. You think I want to cut you out, she said at last. I think you want to star in a picture that was not yours to frame, I said. You can be in it. You do not get to stand in front of the mother of the bride and call it optics. Arlo nodded. That's the whole sermon, he said softly. Peter turned to Vanessa. I asked you to help, he said, not to manage. There is a difference. I did not set that boundary. I am setting it now. Vanessa's eyes flicked to his, then to Claire, then to me. The mask did not fall. It was set down with care. If we are being adults, she said, calmer, then here is my part. I wanted the photos to look like the life I signed up for, which does not include sharing central roles with my partner's ex. That is my vanity. It is also my fear. I am used to leading. I mistook the invitation to hope for a mandate to control. She swallowed. I will send corrections to any vendor I misled, and I will stop using the word optics like a passport. No one clapped. We do not clap for an apology that is still finding its feet. But the planner sat back. Dennis nodded. Claire breathed. Thank you, I said. I will mark that in my ledger under weather change. Before we end, Claire said, voice strong now, we want one more thing on that corkboard. My mum's name on the bake sale volunteer list for next Saturday with lemon slices, x 3 dozen written next to it. I want this hall to know who keeps it sweet. Dennis grinned and pulled a pencil from behind his ear. Happy to, he said. Public confirmation works best when the public can eat it. Vanessa almost smiled at that. Almost. You could see it in the corner, like light deciding whether to enter a room. She reached for her tote, then stopped. I will bring tea, she said, as a helper. You will be thanked once, I said. Then we will all get back to pouring. That will be enough, she said. The reveal was not a sermon. It was a table where paper did what it is meant to do. The twist was not a surprise. It was a status flip, small but felt. I was no longer asking for a seat. I was holding it while others pulled their chairs in at the right angle. We cut cake after the meeting like nothing had torn. The hall ladies served slices on plates with a thin blue rim. People milled and told stories into one another's collars. The planner posted her one-page note on the corkboard with 2 silver tacks. For those who care about clarity, she said to no one and everyone. Dennis wrote my name on the bake sale list in block letters a child could read. The lemon-slice drawing wore its crown without irony. At the gifts table, Claire and Arlo opened cards with hands that seemed older than yesterday. They read lines aloud. They laughed when the committee gave them a giant tea towel with the Hull Rules screen, printed like a flag. No glitter, Arlo read. No confetti. No candles without supervision. Adults, I murmured, and Claire's eyebrow went up with affection. Peter brought 2 plates of cake and set one by my elbow. For what it is worth, he said, voice low, I remember how you taught Claire to water early. I remember who stuck around when romance wore off and real settled in. Memory is a better wedding gift than a toaster, I said, though the toaster is useful. I am buying them a kettle, he said. It whistles. I want them to know when things are ready. Good, I said. Whistling helps. He looked toward Vanessa. She stood near the tea urn, pouring for 2 elderly aunties without commenting on their sugar. She is not cruel, he said. She is hungry for position. Then feed her a task she can do without moving anyone else, I said. Let her pour tea. I will, he said, and walked to her like a man who wished he had always known how. Claire slid in beside me on the bench. We shared the cake plate the way we shared headaches when she was little. That round table, she said. It was like snapping a chalk line. Straight lines have their place, I said. So do curved ones. Honeymoon tomorrow, she said. A tiny cabin near the shore. No spreadsheets allowed. Take the rosemary, I said. Scent anchors the day and the days after. I will. She looked at me. You know what I want to say, but I will say it anyway. Thank you for insisting without making it all about the insistence. I am ancient, I said. I have learned to move without knocking pictures off walls. You are not ancient, she said. You are my mum. 68 looks mighty good. We loaded gifts into cars as evening gathered its edges. Vanessa approached me once more with a small box in hand. The florist made an extra corsage, she said. She sent it with the delivery by mistake. I told her I would return it after the weekend. Would you like to keep it until then? I took the box and smelled the ribbon, rosemary and ivory. I will keep it in water, I said. Then I will bring it back with the lemon slices. She nodded. Thank you for not roasting me at the mic, she said. I would not have survived that. I prefer kitchens to microphones, I said. Heat where it belongs. On the way home, I stopped at the church board. The planner's note sat straight. My name on the bake sale list glowed with pencil gravity. People walked past and read it the way people read small truth without pictures. At my unit, the porch chair waited in its spot by the door. I tied the blue ribbon I had saved onto the back, not as a prize, as a reminder. The chair did not become anything more than itself. Neither did I. I put the envelope back in my ledger's pocket. I slid the grocery receipts in behind it. I wrote a line. Paper spoke once. Enough. I added a second line beneath it. Respect moved like rain through dry soil. When I opened the fridge, the casserole labels looked tidy again. Friday lunch. Saturday Eve. Sunday recovery. I laughed at the audacity of labeling a day recovery, but the truth fit. I warmed a square of spinach lasagna and ate it at the table, one hand on the ledger. Plain food tastes sharper after you tell the truth to the world you live in. The message came late, just as I rinsed my plate. Not from Vanessa. From the aunt she had tried to narrate earlier. "Just wanted to say," it read, "I saw the card last night. I saw you hold the line without breaking it. I have an ex too. You gave me a new word for next time, mirror." It took me a moment to realize I was crying. Not the gulping kind, the kind where tears appear without the full theater. I wrote back, "We do our best." On Monday morning, when the world returned to calendars, I stopped by the hall with the spare corsage and 36 lemon slices. The committee made quick work of the boxes. Dennis stapled a fresh bake sale flyer next to last week's, and I noticed a new sheet posted under the planner's note. It was a printed photo from the wedding. Claire and me under the gum trees, eyes bright, the corsage simple and right. Under it, someone had scrawled, "Mother." I do not keep many photos on my phone. I keep scents and lists and sunlight on the porch chair, but I took a picture of that board and sent it to Claire. "Public confirmation," I wrote. "The kind that feeds rather than starves." She sent back 3 hearts and a photo of her feet up on a wood railing as the sea worked its steady job behind them. Rosemary sat in a jar on the table. Later, Peter stopped by on his own. He stood on my path like a man who had remembered something heavy and wanted help lifting it. "There will be other days I forget," he said. "Please remind me without turning me into a story," he added, half-smile. "I will do my best," I said. "And you will too." He looked at the porch chair. "It has held a lot," he said. "So have we," I said. We stood there for a minute, not making a plan, adults or close enough. Then he left with a wave, and I went inside to check the ledger and the seed packets I kept in a tin. Autumn was coming next. Garlic goes in before the frost, and though we do not get much of that in our suburb, the ritual mattered. By afternoon, the corsage ribbon had dried into a soft curl. I tucked it inside the ledger's pocket next to the receipts. Tokens should not own you. They should speak and sit down. I sat in the porch chair with tea and watched the small world outside my unit do what it always does. Children on scooters. A dog that believed it was responsible for the entire street. Some things do not need optics. They are their own proof. Respect is mutual, or it is theater. If you must choose, choose the truth you can live in. If this quiet revenge fed you, subscribe to Quiet Revenge and tell me where you're listening from.